Have you ever felt overwhelmed by too much stuff, too many commitments, or too much negativity in your life? You're not alone. As we age, the clutter in our homes, minds, and relationships can become overwhelming. But what if I told you that clearing just 7 key areas could bring an immediate sense of relief, help you feel lighter, and boost your happiness, especially as we enter the new year? Stick with me as I reveal these 7 simple, life-changing steps that will help you declutter not just your space, but your entire life. By the end of this video, you'll be ready to embrace the new year with a renewed sense of energy and clarity. In this video, you'll discover how letting go of excess physical clutter, toxic relationships, and outdated technology can help you reclaim your time, energy, and emotional well-being. We'll also talk about how mental clutter, old hobbies, unnecessary obligations, and unresolved past issues can hold you back from living fully. By tackling these 7 areas, you'll free yourself from stress and start feeling more at ease in your everyday life. If you've ever struggled with feeling weighed down by all the things you're holding onto, emotionally or physically, this video is for you. Don't miss out on learning how you can take small, powerful steps to transform your life. Watch till the end, and I promise you'll feel empowered, lighter, and ready to face the new year with purpose and peace of mind. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Physical clutter. Physical clutter can feel like an invisible weight, gradually accumulating in our lives until it begins to dominate our space, our thoughts, and even our emotions. These are the objects that once had meaning or purpose but now sit idly, taking up space and energy without offering anything in return. Think of the old clothes tucked away in the back of your closet, outdated kitchen gadgets you haven't used in years, or sentimental knickknacks collecting dust on shelves, each one quietly contributing to a growing sense of overwhelm. Let's take a closer look at those clothes. Perhaps there's a dress or a pair of pants that once fit perfectly, but now only serve as a silent reminder of a different time in your life. You might tell yourself, "One day I'll wear this again," even as the years pass and it remains untouched. Or maybe it's a coat that belonged to a loved one, and though you never wear it, you hold on to it because it feels like letting go of it entirely. These objects carry emotional weight, often tying us to the past in ways we don't fully recognize. Then there are the kitchen gadgets, those juicers, slicers, and specialty tools that seemed essential at the time of purchase. Perhaps they were part of a vision you had of a healthier lifestyle, a new hobby, or a way to connect with loved ones through cooking. But instead of being used, they now fill your drawers and cupboards, each one a small reminder of intentions unfulfilled. Over time, they stop being tools and start becoming barriers, making it harder to find the items you use and love. And let's not forget the knickknacks, those small tokens of memories that often clutter our shelves and surfaces. A figurine from a long-forgotten vacation, a framed picture of someone you've lost touch with, or a souvenir that once symbolized a special moment. At first, these items brought joy, but now they might blend into the background, no longer sparking the happiness they once did. In my journey, I've come to realize how deeply physical clutter impacts not only the space I live in but also my emotional state. I held onto an old jacket for years, one that reminded me of my youth, filled with vibrant energy and endless possibilities. Every time I saw it, it brought a pang of nostalgia, but also a sense of sadness for the time that had passed. When I finally let it go, I felt an unexpected lightness, as if I had reclaimed a part of myself that didn't need to be tethered to the past. Releasing physical clutter isn't just about tidying up. It's a profound act of self-care and transformation. It's about recognizing that our home should be a reflection of who we are today, not a museum of who we once were or a storage unit for what we might someday become. It's about acknowledging that holding on to things out of guilt, nostalgia, or fear only creates stagnation. By letting go, you create space, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, for what truly matters in your life. Imagine walking into your home and feeling an immediate sense of calm and clarity. Imagine opening your closet and seeing only clothes that fit well and make you feel confident. Picture your kitchen drawers containing only tools you use, making cooking a joy instead of a chore. Envision shelves that display only the items that bring you genuine happiness, free from the weight of forgotten trinkets. Decluttering is not an easy process. It requires honesty, patience, and often a willingness to confront difficult emotions. But every item you let go of is a step toward freedom. It's a way of telling yourself, I am not defined by my possessions. I am defined by the life I live, the experiences I cherish, and the people I hold close. And with each step, you'll find that you're not just clearing space in your home. You're clearing space in your heart and mind for the life you truly deserve to live. 2. Negative relationships. Negative relationships are like invisible chains that slowly tighten around your life, restricting your emotional freedom and sense of self-worth. These relationships often involve people who, knowingly or unknowingly, drain your energy, leaving you feeling depleted, unappreciated, and, at times, invisible. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or even a colleague, these individuals carry an aura of negativity that seeps into your interactions with them, making you feel more burdened every time you connect. Think about those people who never seem to truly listen to you. Instead of offering empathy or understanding, they make every conversation about themselves, their struggles, and their needs. You might spend hours providing support, only to realize they never ask how you're doing or offer any reciprocity. It's as if your presence in their life serves only as a convenience, a source of comfort for them but a source of exhaustion for you. Over time, this one-sided dynamic can chip away at your self-esteem, making you feel undervalued and unimportant. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Even more damaging are the relationships where criticism or passive-aggressiveness masquerades as concern. Perhaps it's a family member who constantly comments on your choices, what you should be doing, how you should be living, without taking the time to truly understand your perspective or needs. These interactions can leave a lingering sting, filling you with doubt about your own decisions and robbing you of the confidence to pursue what genuinely makes you happy. In my own life, I've encountered people whose mere presence felt like carrying an invisible burden. After every interaction, I would walk away feeling heavier, more stressed, and less like myself. It took time to recognize the subtle but profound impact these relationships had on my mental and emotional health. I realized that not all relationships are meant to be kept, and that letting go of toxic connections is one of the most courageous and compassionate things you can do for yourself. Choosing to walk away from negative relationships doesn't mean you're unkind or ungrateful. It means you're prioritizing your well-being and valuing the precious energy you have left to give. It's about acknowledging that life is too fleeting and beautiful to spend it tangled in dynamics that rob you of joy and peace. Surround yourself with those who inspire you, who appreciate your efforts, and who bring out the best in you. Relationships should feel like a haven, a place where you can recharge and be reminded of your worth, not a battleground of stress and unspoken frustrations. The truth is that we all deserve relationships that nourish our souls and uplift our spirits. Letting go of negative relationships may hurt initially, but it's an act of self-love. It clears the path for healthier, more fulfilling connections to come into your life. Remember, the energy you give is precious. Offer it only to those who truly value it, and watch how your life transforms for the better. 3. Outdated or unused technology. Outdated phones, old computers, and obsolete gadgets often find their way into the forgotten corners of our homes, quietly gathering dust over the years. At first glance, they may seem harmless, even nostalgic, a snapshot of how far we've come. But if we look closer, these items can become more than just physical clutter. They symbolize the weight of things we no longer need, holding us back in subtle but significant ways. Every time you open a drawer and see an old flip phone, a charger you'll never use again, or a laptop that hasn't powered on in a decade, you're reminded of a past version of yourself. Maybe it's the job where you used that laptop to send late-night emails, the family road trip where that digital camera captured grainy but heartfelt memories, or the conversations that the phone once facilitated. These items often evoke a pang of nostalgia, but they can also stir up feelings of regret, loss, or longing, emotions that quietly sap your mental energy. For me, clearing out unused gadgets was like shedding a layer of emotional weight I didn't realize I was carrying. I remember holding on to an old MP3 player for years. It was a gift from a dear friend who had seen me through countless bus rides, gym sessions, and late-night walks. Even though I hadn't used it in ages, parting with it felt like saying goodbye to a piece of my youth. But as I finally let it go, donating it to a recycling program, I realized I was freeing myself from the unnecessary burden of holding on to things that no longer served a purpose in my life. The memories remained, but the physical object wasn't needed to validate them. Letting go of outdated technology can feel daunting, especially when these items represent milestones or sentimental moments. But the truth is, holding on to these relics doesn't preserve the past, it ties you to it. Often, the cost is a cluttered space, a distracted mind, and an inability to fully embrace the present. Our homes are meant to be places of peace and functionality, yet every drawer filled with old chargers, broken headphones, or obsolete devices robs us of that potential. Beyond the emotional weight, there's also the practical aspect to consider. Old technology not only takes up valuable space but also contributes to the digital waste crisis if not disposed of responsibly. By recycling or donating these items, you're not just decluttering your life, you're giving those materials a chance to be repurposed and reducing environmental harm. Many community programs and tech companies offer easy ways to recycle electronics, making it simpler than ever to part with these items sustainably. Imagine what it would feel like to open your drawers and find them neatly organized, filled only with things you use. Think about the mental clarity that comes from knowing you've freed yourself from the weight of unnecessary possessions. Decluttering isn't just about making space. It's about reclaiming your home and your mind as places of calm, purpose, and intentionality. As you sort through those outdated gadgets, give yourself grace. It's okay to feel sentimental. It's part of being human. But remember, the memories tied to those items are in your heart, not in the physical objects themselves. By letting them go, you're not erasing the past. You're making room for a lighter, more present-focused future. And that, I've found, is worth every ounce of effort. 4. Mental clutter. Mental clutter, those lingering worries, nagging regrets, and overwhelming fears about the future, can become a heavy burden, suffocating our ability to live fully in the present moment. It's as if our minds become crowded with noise, making it impossible to hear the gentle whispers of joy and peace that surround us every day. This type of clutter isn't visible to others, but its effects are deeply felt. It can weigh us down emotionally, disrupt our ability to think clearly, and even take a toll on our physical well-being. Over time, it can feel as though we are drowning in our thoughts, struggling to keep our heads above water. Regrets from the past often creep in quietly but persistently, like a haunting melody playing in the background of our lives. Perhaps it's a missed opportunity, a relationship we wish we had handled differently, or words we wish we could take back. These regrets can fill us with a sense of loss, as though we are constantly replaying a story that no longer serves us but still grips our hearts. On the other hand, worries about the future and acts like a thief, stealing the joy of today by planting seeds of doubt and fear. What if I fail? What if things don't go as planned? What if I'm not enough? These thoughts often spiral out of control, creating scenarios in our minds that may never even happen. From my perspective, mental clutter feels like carrying an invisible, overflowing backpack everywhere you go. Each regret is a stone, each worry another brick, and each fear a heavy chain that tugs at your spirit. It's exhausting, and yet we often don't realize just how much weight we're carrying until it starts to manifest in other ways. Sleepless nights, irritability, difficulty concentrating, or even physical aches and pains. But here's the truth that I've come to understand. Mental clutter doesn't define us, and it doesn't have to control our lives. Letting go of it is not only possible but essential for our well-being. The first step is acknowledging its presence. It's okay to admit that you're overwhelmed, that you're struggling to quiet your mind. This honesty is a powerful act of self-compassion, a way of saying, I see you, and I want to help you heal. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is the importance of focusing on the present moment. The past cannot be rewritten, no matter how much we wish it could be, and the future remains uncertain, no matter how much we plan. What we do have is now, this very moment, with all its possibilities, beauty, and simplicity. By grounding ourselves in the present, we can begin to loosen the grip of mental clutter. Practical steps can make this process more manageable. Journaling, for instance, can help unload the thoughts that weigh on your mind, giving them a place to rest outside of you. Meditation and mindfulness practices teach us to observe our thoughts without judgment, allowing them to come and go like passing clouds. Talking to someone you trust can also be incredibly liberating. Sometimes, sharing your fears or regrets aloud can help you see them in a new light. Most importantly, remind yourself that you deserve peace. Letting go of mental clutter is not about denying your past or ignoring the future, but about giving yourself the space to breathe and live. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of joy, even if life hasn't always been kind to you. You are more than your regrets, stronger than your fears, and capable of creating a life filled with lightness and freedom. Each day, take a moment to pause, breathe deeply, and release one thought that no longer serves you. Imagine setting it down like a heavy bag you've carried for far too long. With each release, you'll find yourself walking lighter, freer, and more attuned to the beauty of the present. After all, this moment, right now, is all we truly have, and it deserves to be cherished. 5. Old hobbies. There's a unique kind of nostalgia that comes with realizing a hobby you once loved no longer brings you joy. It's a bittersweet acknowledgement of the passage of time, a gentle reminder that we, as individuals, are constantly evolving. Perhaps it's the stack of knitting supplies gathering dust in the corner, the gardening tools tucked away in the shed, or the fishing rod that hasn't seen a lake in years. These hobbies may have once been your sanctuary, your source of peace or excitement, but now, they feel more like remnants of a version of yourself you've outgrown. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Letting go of old hobbies can feel like saying goodbye to an old friend. It's natural to feel a pang of sadness as you reflect on the memories tied to them, the hours spent creating, learning, and finding solace in these activities. For me, it was painting. I used to lose myself in the colors and strokes, the way they blended into something beautiful on the canvas. But over time, the joy faded, and I began to feel more frustrated than fulfilled. For years, I held on to the idea that I should still love painting because it had once meant so much to me. Letting it go felt like letting a piece of myself drift away. But here's what I've learned. Holding on to a hobby that no longer serves you doesn't honor the person you were. It traps you in a cycle of guilt and obligation. Our hobbies are meant to enrich our lives, not weigh us down. By continuing to invest time and energy into something that no longer resonates, we prevent ourselves from exploring new interests or even from simply resting when we need to. Letting go is not an admission of failure or a loss. Instead, it's an act of self-love and acceptance. It's acknowledging that your needs and passions have shifted and giving yourself the freedom to evolve. I found that once I let go of painting, I discovered a love for writing. It became my new creative outlet, one that aligned with the person I had grown into. Writing gave me a sense of purpose and expression that painting no longer could, and it wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't created the space for it. Of course, letting go can be an emotional process. It might mean saying goodbye to a part of your identity or facing the fear that you're losing touch with the past. But rather than seeing it as a loss, try reframing it as a celebration of everything that hobby gave you. Remember the lessons you learned, the joy it brought, and the ways it helped you grow. Those gifts remain with you, even if the activity itself no longer fits your life. This process is not just about clearing time in your schedule. It's about growth and discovery. It's about tuning into who you are now and allowing yourself to pursue what truly lights you up. Whether it's a new hobby, a deeper connection with loved ones, or simply more time for quiet reflection, the possibilities are endless when you let go of what no longer serves you. So, if you're finding yourself clinging to a hobby out of habit rather than happiness, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, does this still bring me joy? Does it contribute to my well-being? Or am I holding on because I'm afraid of what letting go might mean? By being honest with yourself, you open the door to a more fulfilling and intentional life. And that, I've found, is worth so much more than holding on to something that no longer feels like home. 6. Unnecessary obligations. In the course of our lives, we often take on commitments and responsibilities that seem essential at the time. These might stem from a genuine desire to contribute, a need to fit in, or a sense of duty toward others. Over the years, however, many of these obligations have lost their meaning and value. They morph into invisible chains, subtly draining our time, energy, and emotional well-being, while giving little to nothing in return. It's not until we stop and reflect on why we continue to carry these burdens that we realize how much they weigh us down. Unnecessary obligations can take many forms. Perhaps it's a long-standing membership in a club or group you no longer feel connected to but keep attending out of habit or guilt. Maybe it's a family tradition that no longer brings you joy but feels impossible to break without offending someone. It could even be a toxic relationship where you're the one constantly giving while receiving no support in return. These commitments, though seemingly small in isolation, can pile up and quietly erode our sense of freedom and joy. What's heartbreaking is that many of us cling to these obligations because we're afraid of the consequences of letting go. We worry about disappointing others, being judged, or feeling selfish. But here's the truth. Every time we say yes to an unnecessary obligation, we're saying no to something else, often something deeply personal and meaningful. It might be time to pursue a forgotten dream, to nurture relationships that truly matter, or simply to rest and recharge. When you think about it this way, the cost of holding on becomes too high. I've been there myself, trapped in a cycle of obligations that felt more like duties than choices. At one point, I was juggling so many commitments that I barely had time to breathe, let alone reflect on what truly mattered to me. It took a toll on my health and my happiness. But one day, I made a decision that changed everything. I began to ask myself, does this add value to my life? Does it align with my goals and values? If the answer was no, I permitted myself to let it go. It wasn't easy at first. The guilt was overwhelming, and I feared how people might react. But as I started to step away from those obligations, something remarkable happened. I felt lighter. I felt freer. I realized that most people weren't upset. In fact, some respected me more for prioritizing my well-being. And for the few who didn't understand, I came to terms with the fact that their approval wasn't worth sacrificing my peace. Releasing unnecessary obligations is not just about decluttering your schedule. It's about reclaiming your life. It's about creating space for what truly matters: your passions, your health, your loved ones, and your dreams. When you free yourself from the weight of unnecessary commitments, you open the door to a life filled with intention and joy. You begin to see time as a precious gift, one that should be spent on things that nourish your spirit and align with your purpose. So, take a moment to evaluate your own life. What obligations are you holding onto out of guilt or habit? What would happen if you let them go? Yes, the thought can be daunting, but the rewards are worth it. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that your day will be filled with meaningful activities and people who uplift you. Picture the peace that comes with knowing your time and energy are being used wisely and intentionally. Life is far too short to spend on things that don't truly matter. By letting go of unnecessary obligations, you're not just making room in your schedule. You're making room in your heart for the life you deserve. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start. Begin today. Choose yourself, your happiness, and your freedom. You won't regret it. 7. Unresolved past issues. Unresolved past issues, whether they are old grievances, regrets, or deeply rooted conflicts, are like emotional anchors that keep you moored in waters you desperately want to leave behind. They linger in the quiet moments of your life, whispering reminders of pain, guilt, or anger that you thought you had buried long ago. These unresolved emotions don't just affect your thoughts. They seep into your everyday interactions, your decisions, and even the way you perceive yourself. They can make the world seem heavier, the days longer, and joy harder to find. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Consider the weight of unspoken apologies. How many times have you replayed a conversation in your mind, wishing you dared to say, "I'm sorry" or "I forgive you"? These words, left unsaid, can grow into insurmountable barriers between you and the peace you deserve. Then there are the regrets, those aching thoughts of missed opportunities or wrong choices. Perhaps it was a career you didn't pursue, a love you let slip away, or a chance to repair a relationship that you let pass. These regrets can feel like permanent shadows, following you wherever you go, dimming even the brightest moments. The pain of unresolved conflict can be even more devastating. The memory of a harsh argument with a loved one, the cold silence that followed, or the bitter end of a once-close relationship can leave scars that never seem to heal. These conflicts don't just live in the past. They find ways to intrude into the present, influencing how you trust, connect, and love. It's as if these wounds weave themselves into the fabric of your identity, convincing you that this pain is a part of who you are. For years, I struggled with unresolved issues from my past. I held on to anger that felt justified at the time but only drained my energy as the years went on. I carried guilt for things I couldn't change and blamed myself for situations that were never entirely in my control. I found myself trapped in a loop of what-ifs and if only, unable to fully engage with the life in front of me because I was so consumed by the life I wished I had lived differently. It was exhausting, and it was lonely. But here's what I've learned. The past only has as much power over you as you allow it to have. Letting go of unresolved issues doesn't mean erasing the memories or pretending they didn't happen. It means choosing to no longer let them define you or dictate your future. It means facing the discomfort of those emotions head-on, even when it feels unbearable, and allowing yourself the grace to heal. It's not an easy journey. Far from it. Forgiveness, whether it's extended to someone else or yourself, often feels like an uphill battle. But the freedom it brings is worth every tear, every difficult moment, and every ounce of courage it takes. Healing from unresolved issues starts with acknowledgement. Be honest with yourself about what you're holding on to. Write it down if you need to, or speak it out loud in the privacy of your own space. Then, start the process of forgiving, not for the sake of the person who hurt you, but for yourself. Forgiveness is a gift you give your own heart, a way to unburden your soul from the weight of anger or regret. Regret can also be transformed into wisdom. Instead of letting missed opportunities haunt you, look at them as lessons that shaped who you are today. Every choice you made, even the ones you wish you could undo, has brought you to this moment. And this moment right here is where your power lies. Not in the past, but in your ability to shape what comes next. The most profound transformation happens when you realize that unresolved issues are not permanent. They can be addressed, understood, and released. It's not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself to live fully in the present. You deserve a life unshackled by the weight of yesterday's pain. A life where you can wake up each day feeling light, hopeful, and open to new possibilities. By choosing to confront and resolve these issues, you are reclaiming your power, your joy, and your peace. That is a gift you owe to yourself, and it's never too late to begin. As we reach the end of this journey through understanding unresolved past issues and their impact on our lives, I want to leave you with a moment of reflection. What resonated with you the most from what we've discussed? Was it the idea of letting go of regrets, the power of forgiveness, or the importance of reclaiming your present moment? Take a moment to think about one thing you've learned today and how you can bring it into practice in your life. Perhaps it's starting the process of forgiveness, facing a long-avoided conflict, or simply acknowledging the emotions you've been carrying. Whatever it is, we'd love to hear about it. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights and experiences might inspire someone else on their journey of healing. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to show your support. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you won't miss more content like this. Thank you for watching, and remember, the journey to healing and peace is one worth taking, no matter how long it takes. Blue Heart.